Big night.
And a great bounce back by the Bombers at the Telstra Dome this afternoon after the capitulation last week against the Blues, defeating St Kilda by 31 points. And undermanned St Kilda, Lucas and Lloyd kicked 3 apiece for the Bombers. Nick Riewoldt standing alone there, 4 for the Saints. And Lenny Hayes and Harvey Goddard all contributors, but Brett Stanton and Damien Peveril outstanding for the Bombers.
What about this little bloke, though? Hasn't he lit up the Bombers this year? Elwyn Davey, 6 tackles he's laid today. He's been a live wire inside forward 50 for them. He had a hand in several goals they kicked today. Look at this bit of football here. The smother, the tap on, the gather, under extreme pressure, breaks the loop ball tackle. Look at the delivery. Straight to the top of the square, sets up Scotty Laycock. He was outstanding, this bloke, and he's given them something that they didn't have last year. And suddenly they feel like an energised side under him. They're 3-1. They bounced back beautifully today. I don't know whether you tipped them today. I think
I did actually.
Jim.
That's one of the rare ones I've got. But what Kevin Sheedy has done, recognised that this midfield or the forward line for the Bombers lacks speed, and the injection of players like Elwyn Davey and, of course, Leroy Jetta.
Who's done his groin today.
Yeah, but he's an emerging young player. They've certainly counteracted that problem, and, gee, he's a very impressive young player.
1 or 2 players can make such a difference, can't they?
Absolutely. Now, Mark McVeigh.
Yeah, well, so you reckon he's in trouble for this?
Well, we'll just watch it again, but someone obviously saying something after Mark of the Year last week, the bird to the crowd. We have seen other players in recent years get into trouble for that.
Oh, he'll get a fine. He'll get a fine because in the current climate of sensitising the game and sanitising the game, I should say, that's going to be frowned upon, particularly given what Michael Braun did last week. But as we're about to hear from the master coach himself, we've got to let our players be a bit expressive at times, don't we?
Here's a great defence for Mark McVeigh by Essendon coach Kevin Sheedy.
Don't sanitise the game totally. At least something there for a bit of spirit and fun between the crowd of the hecklers and also the players. Otherwise, we'll be running out there and we're playing golf. If you want to play golf with the footy, you might turn a few people off. So, yes, I agree with looking at the sledging and looking at, all the things that happen around the game, obviously drug abuse and those sorts of things. But there's a line in how far you can create a bit of fun between the crowd and also the playing talent out there. I wouldn't get too serious about it.
Do you reckon it'll work?
Do you want to play golf at the footy? Hit a few drives at the Telstra Dome?
Do you think his comments might help Mark McVeigh?
Well, they won't because he'll still get a fine, but I think most sensible people would agree wholeheartedly with Kevin Sheedy.
Now, what about this bloke, co-captain for the Saints, Luke Ball, donning the helmet, and there's that gash, the bandage on the gash with that clash going back to round 1 with Matthew Whelan, and then that.
He can't help himself. I mean, if any player in the league has got an excuse not to go, it's him. And look what he does. He's got a 9,900-kilogram bloke poling down on him, going back with the flight. He's had all the injuries.
He didn't hold back either, Dustin.
No. Well, what are you saying?
No, I'm just saying you hit him hard.
All right.
No, you won't get into trouble. I'm just saying you don't try and put words in.
Oh, no, I was interested. That's
now,
all.
I mentioned at the outset the Saints were undermanned. Of course, missing Max Hudson and Matt Maguire, the key fullback and centre-half back, and then Sam Fisher, who is the only tall left standing in that St Kilda defence. He went down with a hamstring injury, and it really did make it difficult, particularly with the Essendon forward line, with Lloyd and Lucas having an impact.
Absolutely. We're about to find out that the Matt Maguire injury is actually a bit worse than perhaps we might have already thought, that he might spend a bit more time on the sidelines. The defensive coach at St Kilda's a bloke we all know here at Channel 10 very well, Stephen Silvani. Several of us have been envious about the amount of hair that he's still got left. I'm tipping that if they keep falling like this,
you pull the boots on?
And he might start losing some locks, which would be a wonderful thing because he's got far too much of the stuff.
Well, Ross Lyon spoke after the match about this hamstring curse that seems to be at Moorabbin, and he threw a nice analogy in. Let's listen to the St Kilda coach speaking after the match.
We need to sort of get to the bottom of hamstrings, injuries at St Kilda.
It's happened for a long time, hasn't it?
It's interesting, isn't it?
Now, that was the short version. We're going to play the long version a bit later.
The analogy, just in case we don't get to it later on, has got a lot to do with meat and potatoes. And the fact that they
basic diet.
Well, and also the fact that they haven't done a lot of squat work.
Yeah.
And they've had some real issues with their physios. We all know that. Craig Starcevich having to leave for family reasons early in the year, and the fact that they've had a chronic run of hamstrings in the last 3 years, particularly under Grant Thomas, it's continuing. They've isolated that they haven't done enough squat work at St Kilda over the journey. Pretty simple stuff. A lot of people think, oh, that's old school. We don't do that anymore. There's other ways to get hamstrings
Which is
right.
basic stuff, which is where the meat and potatoes comes in. And we might try and get to it later in the show. But we spoke about Matt Maguire and the injury that he's suffering at the moment. Well, he spoke with Triple M this afternoon and talked about exactly the extent of the injury.
I suppose considering what we've seen with my foot and also Nathan's leg, we would have to say, yes, maybe we did come back a little bit too quickly. Probably another 6 weeks, mate. Yeah, so I'll be out of the boot in a couple.
So that's 6 weeks for Matt Maguire and, they're really struggling at the moment, the Saints, with injuries. Now, we do have the meat and potatoes reference. We've gone to great lengths to get this to you. Here's Ross again.
Quickly.
We need to sort of get to the bottom of hamstrings, injuries at St Kilda.
It's happened for a long time, hasn't it?
It's interesting, isn't it? And we've got a new physio in who's analysed past practices and, he's got a view on why it's happened, but it can't be changed now, but it can be changed next pre-season. Just some meat and potatoes are missing in the program. Well, the meat and potatoes is there hasn't been much squatting in the program, so meat and potatoes. So that's what's missing. It's a basic. You can laugh, but if you're not doing it under extreme forces of AFL footy, something's going to give, and it seems to be the hamstring.
Now,
Don't laugh about the meat and potatoes, mate.
Why are you laughing then?
Because it's funny. It is funny.
It makes perfectly good sense.
Oh,
though.
absolutely.
Perfectly good sense.
Basic part of the diet.
Got to eat your meat and potatoes, kids.
Time for Saturday specials. Now we start with a fair hang from Paddy Ryder.
Ryder with the ride.
This bloke is a good footballer, Dane Swan.
Almost Swan it is. That has the shot for goal. And boy, he handled it beautifully. You would have sworn it was a dry day.
And Scotty Harding, all class at Carrara tonight.
Now an opportunity. And working the boundary line. That's an excellent snap. What a goal from Scott Harding, the man who makes things happen.
Top shelf, right foot snap from Tyson Edwards.
And Damien Peverill getting amongst the goals at the Dome this afternoon.
Peverill spins around and nails it.
Great dexterity from big Hamish McIntosh.
Opportunity now for McIntosh. Goes up the ground and the big man's got some skills.
The courage from Scott Burns, but the goal from Michael Wilson.
But it's all poor at the fall of the ball. It's another one. Wilson.
How good is this chase and tackle from Jason Porplesia?
Goods can have a run here. He'll back himself. He has two bounces. Look out, he's run down. Turnover, great chase. The Crows are unrelenting at the moment.
Slick hands from Joel Patfull setting up Simon Black.
Joining in, nice work from Patfull. Hands over. And the first goal for the Brisbane Lions comes from the boot of Simon Black.
Great tackle here from Chad Corns.
Oh, great tackle from Chad Corns. Just got a hand on Ben Johnson. With great strength, he dragged him down.
What a goal from Tim Noddy.
The ball at 93% last week. Gives it a nice ride. And Tim Noddy for the boundary line.
An even better one from Dustin Fletcher. This is incredible.
He's got the top. He's got plenty of carry. It's going. It's going.
And as we go to the break, Daniel Wells, the final goal at Carrara, and look out for the celebration for the Kangaroos.
Snuck it through on the siren, and for the first time since August last year, the Kangaroos will get to sing the song.